Hi everyone, it's James here. How's it going? Hope you're well. This is going to be a kind of combination video. We're going to talk a little bit about the VC meetup which happened here in the UK back in October last month, and also got a few Grails to show you, a few other gems, vinyl pickups. So let's get straight down to it. Just 2 CDs, then we'll get on to the vinyl. I picked up a copy of the Legacy edition of Patti Smith Horses for £1 from the St John's Hospice, Lancaster University. This is a 2 CD set, and it comes with a second bonus disc featuring a live gig from June the 25th 2005. It's just the album performed live by Patti. I've always wanted to own this album. I've never owned it on any format, CD or vinyl, so I was delighted to get that for £1. And then I also got, for 50p, Deacon Blue, Fellow Hoodlums, which is, I think it came from 1991. I've started to collect Deacon Blue on vinyl. Scottish blue-eyed soul band from the late 80s going into the early 90s. I'll talk about them either in my next Vinyl Finds video or maybe the one after, we shall see. By the way, in the background you can hear Future Asian Beats. This was a gift from Martin Peretz, his VCLT a while ago. Great album. British, Asian, turntable, hip-hop kind of stuff. Okay, so Oxfam. Yesterday I popped in, as is my wont, and I found not one but 2 personal Grails. So let me show them to you now. First one, I couldn't believe it when I saw this. Absolutely immaculate. The debut album, I think it was their debut. Prefab Sprout from, where are they from? They're from the northeast, I think, aren't they? Paddy McAloon, genius songwriter, wonderful band really. I'm going to do a video about them in the not too distant future. This is their debut album, I think, Swoon. And yeah, I've never seen this in the wild. I don't know if it's a reissue, but I was so pleased to get it. It cost me £3.99. Let's have a look and see. So, oh, it's a top loader. And it comes with an inner. There's Paddy. And there's the lovely Wendy. What was her name? Is it Wendy Williams? Yeah, Prefab Sprout, kind of ironic, knowing, romantic pop from the 80s. This is a fantastic album. It contains the song Green Isaac, which if you've not heard it, check that out on YouTube.
The style and choose from 12 notes. In itself it's a joy, whether it's truth or a noise. A song starts in the throat. And if you've known your clothes to wear, then simply wash and comb your hair. And little green Isaac.
Shades of Steely Dan coming through. Paddy McAloon, one of the greatest British songwriters of all time, I think, bar none. So I was so pleased to add that to the collection, and watch this space for a Prefab Sprout collection video coming your way soon. Okay, second Grail. And again, I couldn't believe when I saw this in the racks. Paul Simon, Graceland. A while ago I did a video about my record buying rules, and one of those rules was not to buy stuff on vinyl which I have on CD already, and that rule has just gone straight out the window because this album and the previous one I showed, I have them both on CD, but you know, there you go. Rules are there to be broken. Paul Simon, Graceland doesn't need much introduction from me. Got great, very fond memories of this record from back in, actually I think I got it the Christmas, the year after it came out, so it came out in 1986. I think we got it for Christmas 1987. My dad bought it for my mum for Christmas, so it brings back great memories, and yeah, so chuffed to find that. Not a record which turns up in the wild very often, and as you can see, this sticker is removable. I've been collecting Van Morrison, and I find his records very infrequently. I found this one last weekend at Heightside Records Market Stand, which comes to Lancaster every Saturday now. Tupelo Honey, one of the ones that I was looking for. Never heard this record before, don't even have it on CD, so I was really pleased to find that. It's in great condition, and it'll be on, yeah, it's just on Warner's. Yeah, a few marks here and there, but nothing madly serious. So I'm going to try and do a Van Morrison video before Christmas, because I have a fair few of his records now, and it would be nice to share the ones I've got. When I picked up the Paul Simon and the Prefab Sprout, I also grabbed Packed by the Pretenders, another band that I'm collecting, another band that I need to do a collection video on. This album comes from 1990, and I don't think I know any of the songs on this record. Not one that I'm familiar with, but I'm looking forward to giving it a listen. Got a cool picture of Chrissy on the inner. And let's have a look at the label. Black Pretenders. Produced by Mitchell Froome. Also got another Barry White record. I seem to have fallen into collecting Barry's records. Don't know how many more I'm going to get, but this is one that came dead cheap, so I thought I would invest in it. This one comes from, ooh, I don't know what the year of this one is, but it's in very nice condition. Sure, I don't need to say too much about Barry. This one also from Heightside Records, and this one is on Blue Phillips. So looking forward to this. Heavenly, that's what you are to me. I'll do for you anything you want me to. Okay, the next one is quite interesting. This popped out at me in a cardboard box. It was in Bernardo's, the charity shop. R. Dean Taylor, Gotta See Jane, Indiana Wants Me. Now R. Dean Taylor, he was a Motown recording star, and his big famous song, which is on here, is There's a Ghost in My House, which famously was covered by The Fall, the British post-punk band. Anything about R. Dean Taylor other than that he did that song, and this record appears to be a reissue. It's on the Sounds Superb Music for Pleasure label, one of my favourite labels, and just a really intriguing looking record. You've got the Tamla logo up there, so yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing this, and once I have done, no doubt I will be letting you know what I think of it, but certainly an interesting find for a charity shop. Bought for the grand total of £1.49. R. Dean Taylor, Gotta See Jane, Indiana Wants Me. Okay, so moving on to the VC meetup, which was in Leeds this time. So who was there? It was John Bellamy, Steve Witte, Dean Everest, Chris Barron, John Downing, Headley, another fat bearded man talking about records, Martin Peretz, and we were also joined by Jason Stephen, better known in the VC as Funny Face. Doesn't make videos anymore, nice guy. Anyway, I did buy a couple of things, but before I do, let me show you a bit of footage from the day. Hi John, you found anything good?
Caught me looking in the jazz section.
We all know you love your jazz.
Yeah, well, I was drawn by this because I've got this at home and I really can't get on with it. In fact, I would probably say it's one of the worst jazz records I've ever heard.
This one, Big O by Roy Orbison, and I'm not going to say too much about this because I will be doing a special video on it. Long-term viewers to my channel will know that I am collecting Roy, and I'm doing a kind of ongoing series where I show his records and talk about them, so I will talk about this one in due course. Keep an eye out for that video. This record comes from, let's have a look, I think it's 1969, is it? Or kind of late 60s, not entirely sure. But he is accompanied by the Art Movement, and there they are. So yeah, I'll talk about this in a video coming your way soon. Keep an eye out for that. Hunting Roy Orbison Through the Wild. And the other record I grabbed from Leeds was this one. This is Arthur Big Boy Crudup and Rockin' Blues. So he's the blues man who did the original versions of That's Alright Mama and My Baby Left Me.
My baby left me, never said a word. Nothing I ain't done is only something she heard. She that left me, yeah, she left me. My baby left me, never said a word. Well, now that's alright, now mama, that's alright for you. That's alright, now mama, any way you do, but that's alright. That's alright. That's alright now, mama, any way you do.
Both of which were popularised by Elvis Presley, another artist whose music I have on CD. But this was a really good price, so I thought I would grab it. Nice looking record, isn't it? There's the big guy. Yeah, he's a kind of classic, you know, rough and ready blues picking legend, really. Probably not as well known as he should be, given that he wrote those two songs, which are kind of, you know, cornerstones of the rock and roll revolution, really. And possibly the greatest blues name of all time, Arthur Big Boy Crudup. Fantastic. So yeah, I didn't buy any other records that day, amazingly. I think it was partly because I spent so much on petrol and on car parking as well. I think it cost me maybe £20 to park the car. I was being frugal. But I was given a few records by some very kind people who I was socialising with. So let me show you those. So Martin Peretz had already shown this on a video that he made where he was taking it to a record fair to sell. And I contacted him and I said, if you bring it with you, Martin, I'll buy it from you because I've been after it for ages. And when Martin arrived with it, he wouldn't let me give him any money, so he actually gave this to me, so I was really pleased. Amazingly, as a kind of, you know, Beatle nut, I've never owned a copy of the Red Album in my life. On CD, of course, but never on record. Now I think this is some kind of reissue. I think Martin said maybe it was a 90s reissue. I haven't checked the dead wax yet, but I will be checking that to find out what edition that is. But I have the blue album now, I found that last year, so now I have the red one, so that's a real collection cornerstone for me. So Martin, you're a gentleman, thank you very much, I'm not worthy. And then my good friend Steve Witte produced for me Pictures at an Exhibition by ELP. I haven't yet decided if I am an ELP fan or not, but I have bought a few of their records recently, so once again there is a video in the pipeline. I shall be talking about ELP in due course, but Steve was very kind to give me an immaculate, lovely copy of this, which I understand is a live album by the prog Leviathans. He also gave me Brain Salad Surgery. Now I do have this album already. I've got the other edition, the one with the skull cover, but it's a very crackly record. I bought it together with the first ELP album from Oxfam, and they were both very crackly, so it was nice to get an alternative version of that, much nicer. So yeah, stay tuned, an ELP video is coming your way. Right, John Bellamy. John is doing his best to appreciate the wonders of soul music, but the appeal of it sometimes eludes him, leading him to pass on to me certain records. He gave this one to me in the pub in Leeds. This is Diana and Marvin, Diana Ross, Marvin Gaye. I think John had already shown this on his channel, could be mistaken. It's got a wonderful gatefold. And it is on Motown, of course. And it's a nice album. It's not kind of earth-shatteringly great. I think they're a little bit mismatched I mean, to me, you know, Marvin Gaye is one of the greatest soul singers of all time, and Diana Ross kind of isn't, even though she did do some very big records. You know, vocally, I'm not quite convinced that she's on his level. But it's a nice sounding record. I can see why John doesn't like it, but I do. So thanks, John. And then John also slipped me this one. This is actually a comp. Roy Orbison, The Big O. I think it's a compilation on Decca of his quite early stuff. I mean, he's kind of started out as more of a kind of hillbilly artist, really, doing you know, very kind of early proto rock and roll type stuff. It wasn't until his later years that they discovered that he had this enormous talent for doing the kind of slow, smouldering ballads. So on this record you have country tinge stuff by the looks of it. Yeah, anyway, I've not listened to this yet, but I will be doing, and it was nice to get that from John. Big O Country. Actually, the clue is in the title, isn't it? Big O Country. I don't feel very with it today. It's Friday afternoon, it's been a long week, and I've reached the point in the week where I just want to kind of sit down and switch my brain off. But it's not always possible to do that. Right, okay, so the final 3 records I've got to show you actually didn't come from the VC meetup. They came from, they came through the post as VCLT. And they came from Steve from the VC, whose channel is Psych in the Valleys. Check him out if you haven't done already. He's just launched a new contest, actually, a Kinks-based contest. Steve's a great guy, shows a lot of very interesting things. He's very into psych and folk and cult rock and jazz and country, you know, all kinds of things. And he sent me these records. One of them he sent me because I'd mentioned that I didn't have it, and in fact it's another Grail. So let's get to that third. I'll show you the other 2 extras which he threw in. He sent me a Porter Wagoner record, country singer who I've heard people talking about this guy on the VC, and I'd never heard him. But a very nice record. He also sent me this record, 12 Dreams of Dr. Sardonicus by Spirit. Again, a band that I've heard a lot about on the VC. This record is a very famous album. I had to look it up. I didn't know anything about Spirit. I think this comes from kind of early 1970s, maybe 1970 or 1971. Very, very good album. Not sure how I would describe this record. It's not exactly psych, it's not exactly prog or art rock, but it seems to dip its toes into those genres without fully identifying itself, you know, as any of them. It's kind of a bit folky, a little bit bluesy, a little bit rocky. Certainly has elements of psych and elements of prog, but without going too far down either avenue. Wonderful guitar playing as well, you know, really great musicianship and interesting songs. Not a record that I would probably have picked up in the wild, so just a great thing to have. And if I can find any other Spirit records at a good price, I'll certainly be having a look to see whether I can get any more. So Spirit, 12 Dreams of Dr. Sardonicus, that was the second gift from Steve. And the third thing from Steve actually was a Grail. And Steve had heard me mention in a video, I can't remember which video it was, but I mentioned that I didn't have Oh Mercy by Bob Dylan. Used to own it a long time ago, lost my copy of it, no idea what happened to it. So Steve happened to, I think he found one, or we got one already, in lovely condition, which he was kind enough to send me. This is the first Bob Dylan record I actually ever heard. I heard it when I was a student, when I was an undergraduate in, it would have been 1991. A friend of mine had it on cassette, I listened to it, and oops, and yeah, it was my first exposure to Dylan, so it's an album which is pretty close to my heart, really. And you know, it's produced by Daniel Lanois, and yeah, I'm not going to say too much about it. Once again, I will do a Dylan collection video at some point down the line, because I have a fair few of his records now. So there we go. Thank you very much, Steve. Check out his channel if you haven't done already, and I will see you all soon. I hope you have a great week. Take care. Bye bye.